What's up, guys? I just wanted to say a few words about Driveclub, which came out today, and what I think about it, as well as a couple of words about the, these game developers now for the next gen consoles and what they're doing that I am really getting sick and tired of. It's not really something new, but they're really pushing it further than ever before. So let me just get that out the way real quick. I just wish these guys would slow down with the hype. Stop overhyping all your games. I understand how marketing works. I understand you want to generate a buzz and get people excited about your product. But what used to be acceptable, you guys have crossed the line. You're just going way out there with all your claims and making all these uh, bloated promises about what these games are going to deliver, and they're incredibly disappointing so far. And I don't have any doubt that there's going to be some good games coming out, but so far I got to tell you I am really disappointed. It just seems like every time the next game that's been hyped comes out, it turns out to be a big disappointment. And Drive Club falls right into that category. I was talking earlier about Destiny and what a colossal bore that game is. And this game is really right there in the same level of, I wouldn't say it's as hyped at the same level as Destiny was, but Drive Club was pretty much hyped as the flagship of racing games for the next gen consoles. And it just feels like another trip down memory lane, like the same thing that happened with Destiny. It's like all these promises that the developers made about, wow, this thing's gonna blow you away. You won't believe how great this game is. And then you play it, and then it's like, really? And yep, it happened again. And I'm just sick and tired of it. And I just wish I mean, be a little more realistic with people. You could still hype your product to an acceptable level, but you've taken it to such an extent that I got to call you out on it, and I'm sick and tired of it. And that's why every game that comes out, it just feels, even if it happens to be somewhat decent, because of the hype that you created for it, you're painting yourself into a corner. It's just never going to meet those expectations. And while some people will say, well, that's partly our fault, you know what? That's not, you might be able to say it's partly our fault, but really, it's mostly your fault as a developer. This game, it looks beautiful, first of all, okay? And as far as visually and how it sounds, that pretty much does meet what you claimed, but that's where it ends. And it's not a sim or simulator experience, but it's also not arcade because you put so much emphasis and hard work into the graphics and the sound to get this game to look realistic, and it does look beautiful, and it does pretty much look about as realistic as you can expect for any game to look on a console. Yet, when it comes to the most important aspect of any race game or game that's about cars, the driving, the physics and the handling of these cars, and how they feel and how they race, that's the most important part of any racing game. And in that sense, you decided to put your hands up and say, just make it handled like Mario Kart or just any generic arcade racing game. So why go through so much trouble to make such a beautiful, realistic looking game, an awesome sounding game that races and drives and handles like a toy? I don't get that. It's like you don't know what you want to be. Do you want to be a sim? Do you want to be an arcade racer? And that's to me where the biggest failure of this game is. If you're a novice or somebody who's not really hardcore into racing, but you want something to just have a couple of hours of fun once in a while, race some people online, you might get some fun out of it. But anybody who's into anything above that, as far as maybe more hardcore, this is not for you. And the problem is, you don't. This is the problem with overhyping your game. You didn't make it sound like it's just something you just take a few runs once in a while, have some fun with it, not to be taken seriously. No, you constantly hype this game to be something so fantastic and realistic as far as how beautiful it looks and everything. How do you expect people not to think that it's also going to be somewhat closer to a hardcore racing experience, even if it's not a full simulator experience? That's why you have to take responsibility. You can't just say, "Well, we never said it's a sim. We, you should have known." No, this is what happens. You overhype your product, and now people that go and buy this game, they're expecting a little more out of it because you led them to believe certain things about it, and it's not. It's a joke. For anyone who's expecting anything somewhat serious of a racing game, you're out of luck. So for me, this game fails. I don't care how beautiful it looks and how stunning. The game is incredibly linear. Every track, as beautiful as it looks, feels the same. It's just winding, point to point racing. The tracks are very, very skinny. There's hardly any room. And it's a constant bumper car scenario. And on top of the toy like handling and physics, the crash physics, or the when you make contact with other cars, it's like toys. They even give you hear this thump of like plastic almost when you run into another car or when they run into you. It just feels like a big plastic box. It's a joke. And you constantly make contact in this game, so it's a constant reminder that, hey, this thing is so unrealistic because the roads are so skinny. It just, you play this game for a couple of hours and pretty much you've seen it all. And it just feels dull and repetitive and boring. And that's why this game fails. So who cares how beautiful it looks? And it's not, it's such a linear experience that as beautiful as the game looks, you can't go anywhere. It's not an open world game. It's just you're stuck on this very thin track. It doesn't do it for me, and I'm telling you, a lot of people are they're disappointed too. And if you just didn't hype this game up so much for so long, it wouldn't be as bad. But you can't just get away with that and then expect people not to be disappointed. So this game really sucks for me. And I don't see any reason for people to buy a game like this, especially, this is the other thing that really bothers me. There's not many wheels and pedals that are supported by this system. So this is a game that really, for somebody who just is okay with playing with with the regular controller, Or if you just happen to have a wheel and pedal set that is compatible with the PlayStation 4. They don't support any of the old wheels. It's all Thrustmaster. There's a new Thrustmaster T300 that is supported by this game and this system. But that wheel and pedal set, it's not even out yet, but it's coming out this month. It's $400. Who's gonna spend $400 on a wheel and pedal set unless they're a hardcore racer? Which leaves this game out because this isn't for hardcore racers. So why buy this game? But there's not much out there. This whole game was poorly thought out. It was just about just make this thing beautiful, render the cars just perfectly, and that's it's gonna show the power of the PS4 graphically, and people will be blown away because it's so beautiful. Well, it's a racing game, and the most important part of it, as I said, the handling, the physics, and how competitive the racing is, and it fails there. So who cares how good looking this game is? That stuff you'll get over how beautiful it is once you once you feel how repetitive it is. It's a failure. So there's not much in terms of wheel pedal support. Why go out and spend money on a wheel pedal set if you're a hardcore racer for this game? You're not going to do it. So it's a failure. And I'm just sick and tired of developers overhyping their games. I don't have anything else to say. That's how I feel about it. What do you guys think? Uh, I'm sure some people find it fun, but remember, it's day one. Come back in a couple of weeks and tell me if you're still playing this game online or with friends. Because basically, it's a crash fest. There's not a lot of room on these tracks. And if you race the AI, forget it. They run on rails. They don't have any awareness of you. They're just built to run the quickest line, which is the same line you're trying to run. They don't care if you're in the way or not. They're gonna ram you out of the way, or you have to ram them out of the way. That's not realistic racing. So, what do you guys think? Thanks for listening.